there is a lot of faux outrage about Trump's tariffs. And I just think it comes from a place. I was here too. I didn't really understand what tariffs were. I only knew like what I knew about them. But quite frankly, we saw this first of all. I wanted to show you this where everyone's worried about tariffs on champagne, and we have our commerce secretary coming out saying stuff like this. Like, I just don't care about tariffs. If I thought I had the link. Oh, it's iPatch McCain. Where's that? Let me grab this link quick. Sorry for the unpreparedness, but I thought that this link would be also important because it's kind of like, hey, I'm talking about, we've got our commerce secretary saying this.
How about no tax on tips? How about no tax on overtime? How about no Social Security? How about all those things? These are the kind of thoughts that will change America. I know what his goal is. No tax for anybody who makes less than $150,000 a year. That's his goal.
So Donald Trump's goal is that there will be no income tax for people who make less than $150,000 a year, which is just about everybody in this country. If I said 80%, I think that would be close.
I think it's 30%. 30% of the federal income tax are paid by those making under $150,000.
That's it? 30% of people? Wait. No, that's not true. That can't be. There's 70% of the country doesn't make 150 grand.
No way.
Yeah, but the people who pay higher taxes pay more of the taxes, therefore being more of the larger amount for the.
Well, as a percentage, sure, but I'm saying the raw number of Americans who make less than 150 grand is probably 70 to 80%.
Yes. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, when Trump is saying what his big picture is, no income tax for 80% of Americans, and the leftist media is like, my champagne tariff. Where will I get my all-day mimosas? The sad thing is it's working because most normies have no idea what tariffs are. They only know what the news tells them. And I was like that too. I was like that too until recently. Now I understand that, tariffs, the United States is like the biggest economy in the world. What Lutnick says this part too. Let me show this.
But it sounds like you're saying, trust us. And are you worried that at some point Americans are going to feel like there's a bunch of billionaires in Washington who are playing Russian roulette with our retirement?
$2 trillion deficits don't bother you at all. How could you ask me while we're running a $2 trillion deficit and not care? You're destroying the people who have run this country before, are destroying the future for my children and my children's children. I can't have a 50, 75. We have a $36 trillion deficit. And we used to run deficits of 400 billion. Now 2 trillion, everybody's like, who cares? I tell you what, who cares? Donald Trump cares. And when we balance the budget, you know what that means? That means our deficits stop. Interest rates come smashing down. His goal is to have external revenue. The way I think about it, we all are so used to paying taxes. We're so used to it. We have like Stockholm syndrome. Don't stop the Internal Revenue Service, God forbid.
Yeah.
How about this?
Listen to this.
The rest of the world leans on our economy, breathes off our economy. Not only is our economy $29 trillion GDP, but we consume $20 trillion a year. We are the buyer of everybody's stuff. We buy everybody's stuff. So who's more important? The people who sell stuff or the people who buy stuff?
What he's saying is, why are you guys worried about tariffs, you idiots?
Yeah.
We're just trying to get a fair deal on the small amount of things that we sell, and we're going to hold back our buying power until we get it. And if every American could just see that exchange where it's like, you understand that we've been getting effed in the A for the past 30 years. And the result of that is why we have no manufacturing in America. We outsource everything and we insource everything else. Okay, well, if Europe doesn't want to let us sell Ford F-150s there, then we're not going to buy their Mercedes. We're not going to let their Mercedes in our country. And so people are like, yeah, but everyone loses. Wrong. What happens is the second you say that, Europe says, okay, we can't survive without America buying Mercedes or BMWs or what are, how many, if you're a Lamborghini or Ferrari maker, where do you think most of those are sold? Like
Miami.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm saying you're going to have everybody in France and Italy and Germany being like, well, we can't survive if we can't export to the United States. And so then you import your cars there. Like in chat wrote, it's not a tariff, it's a membership fee. And that's how it should be explained to people. But people are just, the left has this thing and most people don't understand the way tariffs work. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh my God, like, my champagne's going to be more expensive. No, it isn't. What happened when Canada tried? Remember when Canada tried to, I love my Canadian viewers. But when Canada was like, pulls up their pants, they're like, we're going to tariff electricity. And then what happened about 8 seconds later? That stopped. Because there is a natural trade deficit in our towards us in every scenario. We're buying from everybody. So we should get fair deals for our stuff too, don't you think? What do you think, Gothix?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think the people that are outraged by this are only outraged because everyone is telling them to be outraged by it. And I think Americans in particular, not everyone, but I think a lot of people have just become accustomed to stuff and comfort. And so they're thinking in their head, I'm not going to be able to get my champagne. I'm not going to be able to get all these other things instead of looking at the long term. I hate paying taxes. I don't want to give the government my money. So you have to look at it from that perspective. And I don't think a lot of people are even presented with, conversations like this. They just, I got to get mad at Trump because the media says I got to get mad at Trump.
What do you think, Melonie?
Yeah, I think it all boils down to TDS, and they need something to latch onto, and tariffs have been the thing that they've been latching onto, even though they don't even understand anything about them or how they're being used as a negotiation tactic and how this will benefit us in the long run. And just like Gothix said, it's just this I must consume though. I must consume. And it's just like, also with the state of how our economy has been under the Bidenomics and stuff, the last thing that most people need to be thinking about is just overconsumption right now. Let Trump fix the economy. Just chill. You don't have to have your champagne. If that's even a blip on your radar, then you theoretically should have enough money to handle it if you're concerned about champagne cost. But yeah. I mean, Luke, what do you think of the larger psyop here with tariffs? Because it's finally the first thing that mainstream media has got on Trump, right? Because they tried to say, oh my God, Doge is bad. And all the Americans are like, no, it's not. And they're like, oh my God, he's dismantling the federal government. And the Americans are like, okay. And they're like, oh my God, he's going to get rid of the IRS. Like, oh my God, the Department of Education. Nothing has worked. The only thing the media has gotten to stick is these tariffs. And I would argue that zero to less than 100 people in America have been affected financially by these tariffs in any way, shape, or form. Now, you could argue the stock market, but I don't think that the tariffs are the sole reason for what's going on with the stock market.
Yeah, if you look at Trump's poll numbers, they actually went down from last week to this week. And the main reason, according to all the pollsters, was tariffs. And that's the issue that is sticking. But I think we as a country need to realize we have an overconsumption problem. We keep buying and we're addicted to Chinese-made slave goods that we can't quit. And I think it's time for the American people to stop thinking about where can I buy the cheapest, latest Temu crap, and you got to start thinking, what can I produce? What can I make? And once we start to refocus those larger efforts towards what can I actually do instead of what actually I could buy, we would become a better, stronger country. And I think Trump is trying to do this. That's Trump's kind of medicine. Sometimes the medicine doesn't taste good. We are seeing a reshuffling of the global financial order. And this is going to ruffle some feathers. It's not going to be pretty. And I think this is only the beginning of a lot of the harsh medicine that the American people are having to deal with, understanding that, behind that is going to mean work. behind that is going to mean producing something. And I think slowly and surely, Trump is trying to incentivize people. Will he win out? Is the bigger kind of question. Will he be able to succeed in this larger kind of huge task? Because it's a very difficult task to try to achieve. That's going to be the big kind of question of his administration.